and biomedical engineering. If we focus on the determination or definition of these applied engineering principles first, based on mass and heat transfer, thermodynamics, etc., etc. Those are related with the living things. And during these applications, we do design and create usable and tangible products, either mimic or control the biological systems. This is whole definition. This is whole concept for the bioengineering. We can use this definition, this concept as the roof of this area. Sorry. And if you want to use some example, we can give the design of a bioreactor or fermenter, and which we use commonly food or drug industries, and about understanding biological systems in generic terms. This belongs to the bioengineering. If you look at the biomedical engineering, it combines the design and problem solving skills of the engineering with the medical and biological sciences. I mean, mostly in the biomedical engineering sciences, we bring together concepts from different branches of engineering, such as the electrical, mechanical, chemical, and computer engineering. Here, the aspects of the fields: biomedical devices and instrumentation, biomechanics, biotransport, and biomedical optics, neural engineering, etc. I mean, briefly, we can define the biomedical engineering as the development and manufacturing the biocompatible devices or processes, something like that. And during that time, we are using some biocompatible materials. After these definitions, I will try to go deeper and deeper for the biomedical engineering, such as the specific area, including different parts. The first one is bioinstrumentation. Actually, this is biomedical engineering division, and this division implies some measurements of biological variables. And during these applications, we are handling some data, and computers are essential part of the bioinstrumentation. And here, a large amount of information in medical imaging system can be processed by a computer. We call these kind of applications as bioinstrumentation. Another one is clinical engineering. Actually, when you go to clinics, you can see the peoples who is working with physicians, nurses, and other stuff from the healthcare team. And here, the engineers working on the patient monitoring equipment, diagnosing equipment, technical aids for the handicapped. And these engineers can be effectively utilized, and computer database can be maintained. And those people called as the clinical engineers, and they have focused mainly those kind of attractions. Another one, biomaterial engineering. As you can imagine that in the biomedical engineering, there are two restrictive areas as the biomaterials and biomedical devices. In that case, the biomaterial engineering, the biomaterials is the tools for the biomedical engineers. And if you focus on those biomaterials, those materials, you can be characterized as a biomaterial engineering or biomaterial engineer. Another one, this is the cellular, tissue, and genetics engineering. Those three different concepts are so close and interacted with each other, as you can imagine. And in these areas, if you focus on those three concepts, you can understand that you are a cellular, tissue, and genetic engineer. In that section, the anatomy and biochemistry and mechanics of cellular and subcellular structures are studied to understand the disease processes. Another one is medical imaging engineering. And here you can see different types of rays, such as X-ray and other energetic radiations. Like ultrasound, you can use those kind of energetic phenomena for the understanding of the diseases and imaging of the peoples by using those systems. and the peoples, the engineers who are working on this subject called as the medical imaging engineers. The last one is rehabilitation engineering. The rehabilitation relates to both handicapped and elderly persons, and the rehabilitation engineers aim to enhance the capabilities and to improve the quality of life of persons having physical and cognitive impairment. The development of prostheses for amputees, provision of proper wheelchair, etc. are the main subjects of this area. And the engineers who are working in that area are called as rehabilitation engineers. Oh, sorry, there are two more. Those are very specific and very novel subchapters, subtitles of the biomedical engineering. They call as the orthopedic biochemistry and system physiology. Those are very new and very specific areas under the biomedical engineering. Yes, after those definitions, after those reminding, we can pass to the history of biomedical engineering. If you look at the back, we can see the roots of biomedical engineering goes to at the end of 70s by Luigi Galvani. He was working as animal electricity, and this is the initial studies of biomedical engineering. And afterwards, on 19s, the electrical nature of the nerve impulse and its velocity, and revealed much about electrolytic conduction in animal tissues, and then concepts of the electrical engineering such as resistivity, capacitance, and polarization were applicable. And during that time, William Thomson, later on he called as Lord Kelvin, proposed the Atlantic telegraph cable. It was modified, and shortly after the turn of the century, to describe the mechanism of conduction along the nerve fiber. Those are initial studies in the history of biomedical engineering. And when we come to 19s, the first applications seems like electric corset, and those devices to deliver electric shock for the therapeutic purposes, and those are very, very popular. Those were very popular during the 18th century, and you can see two different forms of the electric corset as the for the woman and man. Afterwards, when we came to 1920s, we can see the iron lung. Actually, it was produced for the breathing capabilities, especially were compromised by poliomyelitis. And here you can see that very big device with the electric drive, and this iron lung installed in an emergency car, and wherever you need those devices to help the patients, you can bring it easily, and you can help them to recover the peoples. And during the 1940s, we see the discovery of the electron microscope, and this is a very important milestone in the history of the biomedical engineering. Because after this time, the scientists could be success to visualize the things, the matters in deep. And after this discovery, we see during the 1950s some exploration, such as the artificial kidney, X-ray, electrocardiogram, etc. In artificial kidney, as you know, the people who has some need to dialysis to remove the deadly impurities from the blood. This is the first and initial cases of the artificial kidney. And during that time, also the X-ray, which was the first major high-tech devices used in medicine, and X-rays have been used in the commonly diagnostic tool even in our current century. And electrocardiogram is used to measure the rate and regularity of the heartbeats, as well as the size and function of the heart chamber. And also it's commonly used nowadays. Yes, this picture belonged to my mentor and also his mentor, Professor Chang. He was very pioneer in that area, I mean the artificial cells and organs. During the 50s, he was focused on the artificial blood and the new cellular function of real cells. And later on, my mentor has improved with him, and he's still working on biomedical applications, especially some phage and plasmonic structures for the diagnosis and therapy. And later on, the cardiac pacemakers and cardiopulmonary bypass has been discovered during that time, during 50s. And after World War II, the antibiotic production has realized, and by this discovery, the drug industry has developed very sharply. In 90s, you can see the defibrillator. When a patient goes into cardiac arrest, we know that the defibrillator is used to shock the heart back into action. And these systems also are commonly used currently. Another one is heart valve replacements. It was really a very big problem for the patients, such as the incapacitation. And by changing those valves, the people has gained their healthy conditions. And when we come to other examples, we can see the contact lenses and also intraocular lenses, IOL. Those are produced during that time, I mean 60s. And ultrasound also has provided their first picture of their unborn child. And this is really very important device during that time, currently. And we are using for both diagnosis and therapy also. Also, during that time, during this period, the blood analysis and processing could be realized. And this is very important for the diagnosis and the therapy of the peoples. And up to date, we could reach many, many different types of diagnostic tests and analysis. In 70s, we see the CT or BT, this computer-assisted tomography. Those are the integration of computer and X-ray imaging technologies. And by using this technology, we can follow a tumor or other negativities, such as cancer and other diseases by using CT. And nowadays, as you know, during the pandemic, the CT is very helpful for the determination of the COVID viruses and related diseases by using CT. Artificial hip knee replacements are also realized during the 70s. And before the advent of artificial hip and joints, knee joints, millions of people, particularly the aged ones, lived with considerable pain and very limited mobility. And after that time, it was very big milestone for the peoples, especially the old peoples. And it was very important for the history of biomedical devices. And catheters are also very important for the operations, especially related with the cardiology. And these catheters has been discovered during that time. Endoscopy and other cochlear implants and stimulators are progressed during that time. And in 80s, magnetic resonance imaging, I mean MRI, was discovered, and it was begun to use in the clinically, and it has facilitated many breakthroughs in neuroscience, cancer treatment, and orthopedic surgery. And during that time, also laser surgery is an interesting example for the biomedical engineers. And the pulse dye laser was the first laser designed for a specific medical application. And vascular stents also are the 80s medical device and tools. Those are an interesting example of how engineers continuously refine a concept over several product generations. And the technology has evolved from a wire mesh tube to hold an artery to more sophisticated device, including the drug eluting stents are available after that time. And 80s is another important milestone both for biomedical engineering and also biotechnology, health biotechnology especially. This is belonged to the recombinant therapeutics. After that time, the people's was first discovered and introduced in 70s, the recombinant DNA technologies. And after 80s, we have seen that the scientists were trying to use the recombinant technologies for the different health science applications. During 80s, also flow cytometer and cell sorters were used as the first time. And it's really very important for the blood diseases and other diagnostic applications. And therefore, nowadays, we can see those devices which are using very frequently. And the pulse oximeter also very important things, very important applications. And those are personalized devices nowadays, and everybody can use directly by using small apparatus. And finally, during that time, digital hearing aid, and those are 80s technologies, but nowadays we know that we have very advanced, very improved devices related with this subject. When we came to 90s, the genomic sequencing and microarrays, especially it was very important for the Human Genome Project. And by the way, the people have learned too many things and used those techniques for the genomic sequencing and microarrays technologies. PET, I mean positron emission tomography, is another latest engineering breakthrough in the imaging technology. And this is important supplement to the CT scanning and MRI. The PET technology allows to doctors to observe cellular level metabolic change with the powerful cross-section images of the body. I mean, PET is also very important nowadays. And image-guided surgery allows surgeons to use imaging technology to precisely identify where an incision or repair is needed. It helps minimize damage to surrounding tissue. By the way, we are frequently use those kind of image-guided surgery applications. OCT, I mean optical coherence tomography, is a technique for the obtaining subsurface image of eye, and by using these applications, by using these observations, we can decide to disease and we can decide to therapeutic roads for the ophthalmologic diseases. Yes, when we came to 2000s, we can see very novel and challenge technologies and biomedical applications in the biomedical engineering sciences. The cancer nanotechnology is one of them. And during 2004, in the United States, the Health and Human Services has been created a new program going small for big advances by using nanotechnology to advance cancer diagnosis, prevention, and treatment. I remember that during that projects, there were 8 different centers for the cancer nanotechnology, and they have begun to create some research labs for the cancer research, cancer nanotechnology. If you look at the centers, those are very famous and very productive centers for the health sciences, health technologies. And after 10 years, I mean around 2015, the National Cancer Institute has released a new cancer nanotechnology plan. And when we look at this plan, if you remember the old slide related with the centers for cancer nanotechnology, the blue, red, yellow, and green balls are represented the center of cancer nanotechnology. You can remember it was 8. The number was increased around more than 10. And those center of excellence has the phase 1 and phase 2, 3 applications during that time. And the blue color one is related with the other concepts, and they came also phase 3. And cancer nanotechnology training centers, which one the yellow ones. And here you can see phase 2 or 3 studies. Finally, in the green balls, you can see the pathway to the independence awards in cancer nanotechnology. Briefly, we can tell that during the 10 or 11 years, the American peoples have been created, have been realized many good applications related with the cancer nanotechnology. Yes, another subject related with this one, the centers, one of the centers is located in Houston and Anderson Cancer Center. We have begun to work with them after 2004, and nowadays we are still working on cancer nanotechnology. And if we came the top 5 biomedical engineering trends during final 5 years and something like that, we can see at the first level, robotics. And here, those are robotics for human facilities. And also you can use the robotic term as the surgical applications. And exemplary robotic surgical systems such as Da Vinci is controlled by a human surgeon, but utilizes robotic mechanics. And the second one, technology-fueled medicine and smart drugs. The smart drugs are the novel applications of drug applications. And those are the controlled release system. And also here, you can understand that some smart drugs has the technology-fueled medicine. And the third one is cloud computing or big data and the Internet of Things. And we know that every day the IT technologies and also the computing science has gotten some novelty and novel applications. And the health applications, health science applications is very critical for this subject, for these applications. By the way, during the last 5 years, the people have been focused on this subject. The number 4 is medical virtual reality. As a general concept, in last years, we see the importance of the VR technologies, and the medical applications of VR technologies are getting higher and higher interested for the peoples. And the number 5 is related with the neural technology and brain tools. And as we know, the brain is very complex, most complex organ in the body. And by the way, we have to focus on this organ and its related neural technologies. And therefore, the 5th example for the top biomedical engineering trends belong to the neuronal science. Yes, at the end, when we came to 2020s, we can see the organ writing, I mean printing human organs with the biomaterials, and also some biomedical applications such as the biomaterials applications, patch to bead fat. Those are for fighting obesity with the drug delivery pads. Those are micro and nanotechnological applications. And wearable technologies are very famous, and wherever you look at your surroundings, you can see some of the smart wearings, such as the watch, eyeglasses, and so on. And another important development related with the prosthesis. Nowadays, the scientists are focused on controlling a prosthesis with one's brain. I mean, you are creating a novel arm, for example, or hand. It's completely the same, as much as possible, the original one. And this is really very important, how spine tingling gadget reads thoughts. And you can see the mechanism that it's really original and seems natural ones. Another important progress related with these biomedical devices, the nano robots or nanobots. Those are fighting with diseases. Their size is very, very small. And another one is miniaturization and 3D printing. In that applications, you are trying to produce some natural structures by using synthetic models. Up to now, we believe in that good things happen to those who wait, but better things happen to those who try. We are trying. And after this slide, I will try to give some explanations, some representations belong to my research group. My research group divided into 5 sub-chapters: biomaterials production and modification, biomedical devices, micro and nanobiosensors, tissue engineering at nanoscale, and finally the targeted nanotherapeutics, including the cancer nanotechnology. My group has established with more than 10 scientists. Some of them are juniors, some of them are senior scientists. In the first one, the biomaterials and production and modification, mainly we have been focused on the micro and nanotechnologies for the production of the micro and nano structures with different geometries and structures. Another group focused on the biomedical devices, especially in that section, my friends and me are focused on the some biomedical device improvements. And related with this subject, one example is belong to the QCM, quartz crystal microbalance applications. Another one is related with the electrospinning, and by using some devices, we can create our devices by ourselves. Another group working on micro and nanobiosensors. here the sensors are based on the electrochemical analysis, and by using the electrochemical analysis system for the determination of some certain biochemicals. One small group is working with the tissue engineering at nanoscale. In that group, we are trying to produce some micro and nano fibrillar or porous structures for the tissue engineering applications. And the last one is targeted nanotherapeutics group, and this group is trying to produce some smart therapeutics, smart nanotherapeutics. Related with this subject, we have been focused on the cancer nanotechnology, and those are some biopolymeric nanoparticles for different types of applications in biomedical section. Of course, we are working with the collaborators. One of them is microbiota. It's from Eskişehir, and Professor Çabuk is the coordinator and the CEO of this company, and we are working with them. Another partner is from MD Anderson Cancer Center, Professor Özpolat, and he is working in the Department of Experimental Therapeutics. We have a good project from the 15 years ago we have begun, and those are still going on. Another partner is from Stanford, Professor Demirci, who is focused on the bioacoustics, MEMS in the medical applications. And those are the universities and the centers in Europe, America, and also in Turkey that we are working with them. And this is Biomedical Nanotechnology journal. I'm in the board, editorial board of this journal. We are inviting you to press your publications. Another related journal is Bioactive and Compatible Polymers for Biomedical Applications. I'm also the board member of this journal. We are also waiting for your kind presentation and also publication to our journals. In the final section, I want to give some information, mostly, some information about this center. This is the Life Science and Technologies Application Center at Bogazici University. Briefly, we call it Life Science. And it's so close to our building. You can see the Life Science section in those 5 different sections. And here, we will try to establish some supportive facilities and backgrounds and testing and analysis labs and vivarium for the anode research. During that time, we have the target industries are biomedical industries, drug industries, and biotechnological applications are the target industries for these life science laboratories. On the other hand, some competitive sectors program IPA2 is begun. It's very new info. This IPA project coordinated for the global competitiveness increasing. And during that time, we will try to facilitate, we try to increase the value of the whole life science. And also, we will try to in vivo medical device production and test analysis and characterizations of the materials, and some kind of applications or works will be done in this center. If we look at the details of the IPA project, during the project, we will have some technical assistance. from a project team, and animal imaging lab, materials characterization and test analysis group, and finally the clean rooms infrastructures are the most important components of this project. And also the SEM and some GLP area for different types of device and medical industry. And you can see the details, some rooms for mice and rats, and also animal scale, MR and PET CT. And also we will have some radioactive rooms for the lab applications. And also there are some open office and web labs and common device section. And finally, I want to tell you that never stop dreaming and never stop working hard for your dreams. Imagine no limitations on what you can be, have, or do. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I do hope so I can express myself, my backgrounds and trends for the biomedical engineering. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emir Baki Hocam. You can ask in English, Turkish. We have a few minutes left for questions. If we stop sharing, you can hear me, right, Emir Baki Hocam?
Yes. I can stop.
Stop sharing. So let's see the pretty faces who attended this seminar, so I can document this for my nice. Let's see, documents, Bogazici University. And if there are any questions, please raise your hand. Arda, can you manage the questions? Because I do not see the raised hands because I'm not the admin anymore. Arda, are you there?
Her şey yolunda hocam.
Okay. If you have questions. Türkçe'de sorabilirsiniz arkadaşlar. Gönlünüzden geçenleri. Hocam bir daha bu öğrenciler için önümüzdeki dönemde bu İPA projesinde gelişen merkezde ne gibi olanaklar oluyor? Onları bir daha öğrencilere bir anlatalım mı? Neler olabilir? Ne gibi faydalar sağlarlar? Ne gibi katkı verebilirler? Ne gibi konulara gönüllü olabilirler?
Elbette ki. Şimdi ekran paylaşımını hatırlayacağınız üzere merkezde araştırma faaliyetleri tamamıyla life science üzerine yoğunlaşacak. Dolayısıyla buradaki hem in vitro hem de in vivo çalışmalar için genç arkadaşlarımız çalışmalara dahil olabilecekler. Değişik projelerde. Özellikle yüksek lisans doktora düzeyindeki arkadaşlarımız test çalışmaları ya da projeleri dahilinde araştırmaları burada nasıl değerlendirebilirler, nasıl buradan fayda sağlayabilirler. Bunları yapılacak olan değişik workshoplarla, değişik etkinliklerle onları aktarmaya devam edeceğiz. Bu aslında projenin henüz dün bir bugün iki başlangıcındaki noktası. Bu konuların detayları tabii ki sizlerde, Rana Hocam'da ve bizlerin projeksiyonunda. Ama yani bizlerin beklentisi özellikle bu genç arkadaşlarımızın fikir ve projelerini ya da mevcut projelere dahil olarak ilerleme şeklinde olacak. Gerçekten çok yüksek düzeyli bir teknolojik seviyesi olan altyapı olacak. Özellikle test analizlerde, karakterizasyonlarda, biomedical device veya malzeme tarafında her türlü desteği akredite olarak en büyük hedeflerimizden birisi olacak. Akredite edilmiş, hani yurt dışında yapılan ve çok büyük rağbet gören bir takım test analizlerin burada kolaylıkla ve hızla yapıldığını görecekler ve onlar da buna dahil olacaklar diye umut ediyoruz.
Evet, çok teşekkür ederim. Bir soru var. SEM cihazı aktif mi diye. O herhalde bizim cevaplayabileceğimiz bir soru. SEM cihazı kuruldu. İlk denemeleri de yapıldı. İlk görüntüler de alındı. Sonra biliyorsunuz o SEM cihazları oldukça hassas cihazlar. Özellikle elektrik kesintilerine karşı. Binanın jeneratör ve UPS bağlantıları oluncaya kadar tekrar kapatıldı. Şimdi bugün bir elektrikli kesintilerin bir tanesi de UPS cihazının tekrar hayata geçirilmesiydi. Elektrik sistemiyle ilgili son denemeler yapıldıktan sonra artık SEM cihazı bir daha tamamen aktif olacak şekilde ayağa kaldırılacak. Ondan sonra da teknik eğitimler, gerekli kişilerin alınması, işe alınmasıyla bir teknisyen gözetiminde kullanılacak. Kendisini yetkin hisseden öğretim üyeleri veya yetkilendirilmiş öğrencilerin nasıl kullanacağı ile ilgili olacak öyle bir detaylar. Öğretim üyeleri falan. Onlarla ilgili uygulama usulleri merkez tarafından önümüzdeki haftalar demeyeyim ama sene sonuna kadar sizlere ilan edilecek diyeyim. Rana Hocam, sizin ekleyeceğiniz bir durum var mı?
Ben ufak bir ekleme yapayım Rana Hocam'a geçmeden. Buradaki device'ın aslında en kritiklerinden bir tanesi, arkadaşlarımızın mutlaka bazılarının bilgileri vardır ama diğer sistemlerde olduğu gibi SEM cihazı da gelinen en yüksek noktalarda ve elementel karakterizasyonla renklendirme yapılarak çok daha doyurucu bilgiyi, çok daha sağlıklı morfolojik değerlendirmeleri yapılabilecek hale getirme şansı var. O da tabii bu sistemin bir ayrıcalığı olacak. Merkezinde önemsenmesi açısından, arkadaşlarımıza katkı sağlaması açısından da bunu da belirtmek istedim. Teşekkür ediyorum. Rana Hocam, söz sizdeydi. Ben aldım. Çok özür dilerim.
Yok, estağfurullah. Ben önce hoş geldiniz diyeyim Emir Baki Hocam. Aramıza hoş geldiniz.
Çok teşekkürler.
Hacettepe Başkent diye konuşmaya başlayıp Life Sci diye bitirdiniz. Bence günün sürprizi oldu.
Yaşamı bulduk.
Evet. Doğru yolu buldunuz. Teşekkür ederiz. Aramıza hoş geldiniz. Welcome on board bu taraftan yani. SEM cihazı için çok kısa daha süreye ihtiyacımız var arkadaşlar. Cihazın çalışır durumda olmaması ile ilgili değil. Özellikle binanın altyapı problemleriyle alakalı ama kısa dönem sonra tekrar kullanıma açmış olacağız. Bu grupta dinleyen arkadaşlar arasında da vardır muhtemelen. Pek çok arkadaş zaten eğitimini de aldı. Bir ön eğitimden geçti grubumuzdaki pek çok araştırma gruplarından, her gruptan birer arkadaş vardı en azından. 10 kişiden fazla eğitim aldı diye biliyorum ben. Yakın zamanda evet açtık artık getirin numunelerinizi diyeceğimiz zamana çok yaklaştık. Bizi izlemeye devam edin. Teşekkürler.
İsteyen arkadaşlarımız, öğrencilerimiz ayrılabilirler. Seminerimizin isterseniz bu resmi kısmını bitirelim. Başka sohbet kısmında kaydı durduralım.